About 78% of the components of the air are nitrogen and about 21% are oxygen, which supports the lives of humans and other living organisms. A state where the oxygen concentration in the air is less than 18% is called the oxygen deficient state. A single breath of air with low oxygen levels can be fatal and is very dangerous. In order to prevent oxygen deficiencies, it is important to have adequate ventilation, measure oxygen concentrations, and use protective equipment such as air respirators. Be sure to follow the instructions of managers. If a coworker collapses because of a lack of oxygen, known as anoxia, you may also end up lacking oxygen if you try to help without taking sufficient measures to protect yourself. Always wear protective equipment when going to help. When working in a location where there is a risk of oxygen deficiencies, an employer must appoint an operation chief for oxygen-deficient hazardous work to prevent the risk of oxygen deficiencies from occurring. Tasks related to the oxygen-deficient hazardous work are performed by specially trained persons. These are examples of places where oxygen can be deficient. Be careful in these places and situations. Ventilate the oxygen concentration of the workplace when carrying out oxygen-deficient hazardous work unless it is not possible to ventilate to prevent explosion, oxidation, etc., or it is extremely difficult to ventilate due to the nature of the work. Oxygen concentration must be kept above 18%. Ventilation is conducted using a blower such as this. Ventilation is conducted under the direction of an operation chief, but a worker must also understand the basics. An operation chief measures the oxygen in the workplace before starting the work for the day. It is also necessary to measure when all workers leave the workplace after a break, etc., or when they start working again, or when there is an abnormality in the worker's body or a ventilation system, etc. When measuring concentrations, attention should be paid to these points. When working in an oxygen-deficient hazardous area, it is necessary to repeat oxygen concentration measurement and ventilation to keep the oxygen concentration above 18%. However, when working in a place where it is technically difficult to measure concentration or ventilate before starting work, or when rescued in the event of an accident, it is necessary to use protective equipment for breathing to prevent hypoxia and secondary disasters. Use an air supply type respirator or a hose mask. Since carbon monoxide is colorless and odorless gas, it is often inhaled without being noticed. Carbon monoxide poisoning has occurred due to the operation of internal combustion engines, such as generators, in places where there is insufficient ventilation, and the use of briquetting stoves used for concrete curing. Do not use internal combustion engines or briquetting stoves in a place with insufficient ventilation.